15 Rolex Watches Price List 2025. Rolex prices never stay still. What you see on their official site is one thing, but the market always has its own story, and it changes fast. From official MSRP to real-world market values, here's the price list for 15 Rolex models. Just remember, these numbers are accurate for now, but demand can move them quickly. Number 15. Datejust 41. Think everyday luxury with zero theatrics. That's the Datejust 41 in steel with the smooth, domed bezel, clean dial, crisp case lines, and a bracelet that feels like it belongs everywhere, from meetings to date night, you name it. On the wrist, the numbers explain why it's so wearable. While the case is 41mm, real-world measurements put the thickness right around 11.7 to 12mm, and the lug-to-lug around 47.5 to 47.6mm. So it sits flat and slides under a cuff instead of fighting it. The modern 21mm bracelet width keeps the stance contemporary without feeling blocky, and the Easy Link extension is a genuine quality-of-life perk when the weather swings. Water resistance is around 100 meters. Under the hood is Rolex's caliber 3235 with the chronology escapement and about 70 hours of reserve. This is the quietly perfect first Rolex because it just works, day after day, without shouting. This watch gives you the classic oyster steel case, sapphire with the cyclops over the date, and your pick of oyster or jubilee, so you can decide whether it leans sporty or dressy. On pricing talks, the Rolex's official US site places the steel Datejust 41 between $8,500 and $8,700, depending on your dial and bracelet choice. But here's the catch. The market usually runs a little hotter. Recent watch indices put clean examples in the low $9,000 range. So if you're aiming for retail, your best bet is to build a relationship with an authorized dealer. If not, the secondary market is wide open, with plenty of reputable dealers ready to sell. Just expect to pay a small premium. Next up is number 14, Explorer 2. If you want a steel Rolex that still feels like an instrument, the Explorer 2 is the purist's pick. No ceramic shine, no rotating bezel, just a fixed 24-hour scale and brush steel, a punchy orange GMT hand, and a dial that reads clean at a glance. This Rolex keeps the classic 42mm oyster steel case, 100 meters of water resistance, and sapphire with the cyclops over the date. Pick black or go polar white. Either way, it's the travel-first Rolex you buy to use, not babysit. The Oyster Lock clasp with Easy Link is a genuine quality-of-life perk when temps swing. And Chromalite Lume stays bright long past last call. It's a flyer GMT, independent local hour hand. So jumping time zones is a quick crown hop while your 24-hour hand keeps home time locked. On the wrist, the numbers explain why it wears flatter than 42mm sounds. Thickness comes in around 12.5mm, the lug-to-lug is roughly 50.1mm, and Rolex widened the bracelet to 22mm at the lugs, so it plants securely and balances the larger case without feeling slabby. Water resistance is 100 meters. Mechanically, it's modern Rolex done right. Inside is caliber 3285 with chronology escapement, parachrom hairspring, paraflex shock protection, and an approximately 70-hour reserve. And the sapphire with cyclops just makes you want it more. So, what does the Explorer 2 actually cost in 2025? Rolex lists it at $10,050 MSRP, but the open market tells a different story. Recent data shows clean examples around $10,300, while brand new stock on dealer sites can push into the low to mid $13,000 range, depending on the dial and whether it's a full set. If you're chasing retail, that means working closely with an AD. If you're going secondary, stick with trusted sellers and always insist on a complete set. Next on the list is number 13, Submariner No Date. The Submariner No Date strips it back to basics. No date, no Cyclops, just timekeeping in its purest form. Built in oyster steel with a black Cerachrom bezel and the maxi dial, it's the dive watch blueprint with 41mm case, 300 meters of water resistance, and a bracelet clasp engineered like equipment, not jewelry. Whether it's airports, offices, or oceans, this one never feels out of place. On the wrist, it's more compact than the spec sheet suggests. The 41mm case translates to approximately 12.4mm in thickness and about 47.6mm lug-to-lug, so it sits flat and balanced instead of bulky. The 21mm bracelet keeps proportions contemporary, and the Oyster Lock clasp with Glide Lock Micro Adjust gives you a dialed fit whether it's sliding under a cuff or over a wetsuit. Confidence on tap, no matter the setting. Inside, the caliber 3230 delivers Rolex's no-date movement with the chronology escapement, parachrom hairspring, and a solid 70-hour power reserve. You also get the classic oyster steel case, a sapphire crystal, no Cyclops, and a unidirectional Cerachrom bezel with a luminous zero pip. Price-wise, the Submariner No Date comes in at $9,500 on Rolex's US site, but on the open market, you're looking closer to $11,400 on average, and fresh 2025 dealer stock is landing in that $12K to $13.5K range, depending on condition and whether it's a full set. Retail means playing the AD game. If not, the secondary market is wide open, but just be ready to pay a premium for a clean piece. The next watch is a close cousin, number 12, Submariner Date. The Submariner Date does daily duty and weekend diving without breaking stride. In oyster steel with a ceramic bezel, black or the green LV, it keeps the modern sub recipe. 41mm case, 300-meter rating, sapphire crystal with a Cyclops, and an oyster bracelet that feels like gear, not jewelry. On the wrist, it wears neat. Thickness lands around 12 to 12.8mm, and lug-to-lug measures 47.6 to 48mm, depending on who's holding the calipers, so it stays low and centered, not slab-sided. The 21mm bracelet stance keeps it current. The slimmer lugs clean up the silhouette versus the old super case, and the Oyster Lock with Glide Lock gives quick click adjusts. Water resistance is 300 meters. The 3235 adds a parachrom hairspring to the chronology escapement with roughly 70 hours of reserve. You get the unidirectional Cerachrom bezel with a luminous zero pip and a sapphire crystal with the Cyclops for that unmistakable sub look. After dark, Chromalite keeps it readable without shouting. In the US, Rolex lists the Submariner Date 126610LN at $10,650, while the green bezel 126610LV, aka the Starbucks, is $11,200. But the market always runs higher. Right now, the black LN trades in the low to mid $12K range, while the LV usually sits higher, mid $13K and up, depending on set and condition. If you're chasing MSRP, you'll need an AD, but if you lack the patience, you might have to pay the higher price. Moving on to number 11, Oyster Perpetual 41. The OP41 is the brand's cleanest daily. Domed bezel, no Cyclops, balanced stick markers, and chromalite that keeps glowing when the lights drop. The latest model features fresh lacquer dials in pistachio, medium blue, beige, silver, and black, along with subtle case clasp tweaks that make an already easy-to-use watch even easier. On the wrist, it wears flatter than the 41 tag suggests. Case diameter is 41mm, with thickness of around 11.6 to 11.8mm and lug-to-lug of 47.3mm, so it slides under a cuff instead of fighting it. The Oyster bracelet drapes well, and the Easy Link quick extension handles hot-cold swings. The domed bezel and slimmer case walls keep the profile sleek, not slabby. Inside is the caliber 3230, featuring Rolex's chronology architecture for enhanced efficiency and robustness, which delivers a power reserve of 70 hours that you can actually feel. Up top, a sapphire crystal no Cyclops keeps the dial clean, and chromalite stays legible after dark without shouting. For 2025, US MSRP on the Oyster Perpetual 41 comes in at $6,650. But the real story is on the market. New 2025 models with the hot dials are asking anywhere from around $11,000 to $14,000 and up, depending on color and set. Recent indices put the average around $11,100 as of late August 2025. If you're chasing sticker, it's 80 or nothing. If you want it now, the secondary market has plenty. Just budget for that premium. Up next, number 10, GMT-Master II BLNR BLRO. 2 bezels, same mission. A travel-first Rolex you can actually use. Whether you're team BLNR, Black Blue, Batman or Batgirl, or BLRO, Red Blue, Pepsi, the modern steel GMT-Master II gives you the iconic 24-hour ceramic bezel, a bold arrow GMT hand, and the comfort of Rolex's latest Oyster steel case. On the wrist, it's friendlier than the legend suggests. Real-world measurements peg thickness around 12 to 12.2 millimeters, and lug-to-lug about 48 millimeters, which explains why it slides under a cuff and feels solid. Water resistance sits at 100 meters, and mechanically, this is modern Rolex at full strength. Inside beats caliber 3285 with a chronology escapement, parachrom hairspring, and an approximate 70-hour power reserve. It's a flyer GMT, so the local hour hand jumps independently, so you can change time zones without stopping the movement while the 24-hour hand keeps home locked. The crystal is sapphire with a Cyclops overdate. Now what is the price these days? Both the Batman and Pepsi GMTs carry an MSRP of $11,300, which sounds like Rolex's price until you hit the market. The BLNR sits around $16K, while the BLRO is closer to $19K on average, and fresh 2025 sets often creep into the mid-20s. Now we have number 9, GMT-Master II GRNR, reference 126710 GRNR. Rolex took the travel icon and turned the volume down. Grey-black GRNR bezel, black dial, punchy arrow GMT hand. In Oyster steel, you can pick Jubilee for drape or Oyster for a sharper, sportier line. Still Rolex, but lower key than Pepsi or Batman. Case diameter is 40 millimeters with thickness around 11.9 to 12.1 millimeters, and lug-to-lug approximately 48 millimeters. That's why it slides under a cuff and stays centered instead of top-heavy. Water resistance is 100 meters. Powering it is caliber 3285 with Rolex's chronology architecture and a parachrom hairspring, plus true flyer GMT functionality. Jump the local hour independently while the 24-hour hand keeps home time steady. The reserve is about 70 hours, so you can park it for the weekend and it's still ticking on Monday. A sapphire crystal with the Cyclops keeps the date legible, and that ceramic bezel remains easy to read on the move. The steel carries an MSRP of $11,300. Step up to yellow Rolex and you're at $18,500, while the full gold 126718 GRNR jumps all the way to $44,600. The steel pieces are trading much higher at street prices, often in the high 18K to 20K range depending on bracelet, set and condition. The two-tone doesn't stretch far beyond retail, usually around $19,200. And for the gold models, those go as high as $39K to $47K across major dealer platforms. Next up is number 8, Yacht-Master 40. The Yacht-Master 40 is the mellow cousin in Rolex's sports family, the one that does the job but looks like it's headed to the marina for lunch. In Rolexium, this Rolex brings that silky, sandblasted bezel with raised polished numerals, a sunray blue or rhodium dial, and the kind of everyday comfort that makes you forget you're wearing a luxury watch until the light hits it. Case diameter is 40 millimeters with thickness around 11.7 to 12 millimeters and a compact 47.3 to 47.4 millimeter lug-to-lug, which is why it sits low, slides under a cuff and never feels slabby. The Oyster bracelet drapes naturally, and the Easy Link extension handles quick comfort tweaks when the temp swings. The domed sapphire, slimmer case walls, and that platinum bezel keeps the profile sleek rather than bulky. Water resistance is 100 meters. Powering it is the caliber 3235 with Rolex's chronology architecture and a parachrom hairspring, delivering roughly 70 hours of reserve. A sapphire crystal with the Cyclops keeps the date legible at a glance, and the platinum bezel's raised numerals remain easy to read in motion. And if you want more flash, the Ever-Rose Rolex is the same formula in steel and rose gold. Rolex puts the Yacht-Master 40 at $12,500 MSRP, but the real going rate is around $13.5K on average, with dealer listings stretching to $16K depending on condition and set. Now for the true marine watch. Number 7. Sea Dweller. If the Submariner is the crowd pleaser, the Sea Dweller is the pro spec. The current steel 126600 keeps the tool-first spirit and adds real-world comfort. A 43mm Oyster steel case, matte black dial, ceramic timing bezel, and a Cyclops over the date. Now this was controversial at launch, but great for daily legibility. It's the diver Rolex designed for saturation work, complete with a helium escape valve and a depth rating that laughs at casual reefs. On wrist, it's big without being silly. Independent measurements put the thickness around 16mm and lug to lug between about 50mm, so it sits secure and balanced rather than top heavy. The wider bracelet spreads the weight nicely, and the Oyster lock clasp with glide lock makes micro adjusts painless when temperatures swing. Despite the spec sheet, it'll still tuck under a casual cuff better than you'd expect from a 1220-meter tool watch. Chromolite keeps the dial readable when the lights drop. Water resistance is 1,220 meters or 4,000 feet, with a helium escape valve for proper saturation duty. Powering it is Rolex's caliber 3235 with the chronology escapement and a parachrom hairspring, which is robust, efficient, and built for abuse. The reserve runs to about 70 hours, so you can leave it off all weekend and pick it up still running. A sapphire crystal with the Cyclops magnifier keeps the date clear, while the ceramic bezel insert shrugs off scuffs and stays crisp. The steel Sea Dweller carries a retail price of $13,750, while the yellow gold Rolex version comes in at $20,300. But unlike most Rolex sports models, the Sea Dweller is trading closer to $11,500, which is actually below retail. This next watch takes marine to a whole other level. Number 6. Deepsea. If the Sea Dweller is serious, the Deepsea is single-minded, built around Rolex's ring lock case architecture to survive 3,900 meters or 12,800 feet. It's the extreme diver that still does daily duty, matte black or the D-blue James Cameron gradient dial. The case is 44mm, but the way it wears is the clincher. Thickness sits around 18mm with a measured lug-to-lug near 52mm, so it plants and stays centered instead of sloshing around. Water resistance is a staggering 3,900 meters thanks to the ring lock system and helium escape valve. It runs Rolex's caliber 3235 with roughly 70 hours of autonomy, so you can park it for the weekend and it's still ticking on Monday. You also get a domed 5.5mm sapphire crystal without a Cyclops, plus the unidirectional Cerachrom bezel with numerals coated in platinum and a long-lasting chromolite glow. The Deepsea lists at $14,700 in black or $15,020 in D-blue, but the market stretches to $19K, especially if you're after that D-blue dial. Next we have number 5. Yacht-Master 42. Stealthy and purposeful, this Rolex swaps shine for texture, a matte sandblasted bezel with raised polished numerals, an intense black dial, and a fully brushed titanium case bracelet that wears light but still feels like a real kit. With the Yacht-Master 42, you keep the easy daily formula, but the finish, balance, and feel push it from shiny weekend to serious sailor. On the wrist, the numbers explain the comfort. The case is 42mm, thickness sits around 11.6mm, and lug-to-lug lands near 50.3mm. Those specs could read chunky on paper, but RLX titanium drops the mass so it plants instead of wobbling. The broad Oyster bracelet and Oyster clasp with easy link keep it secure and cuff friendly, and when light hits those raised bezel numerals against the matte ceramic, it's unmistakably Yacht-Master without the flash. Water resistance is 100 meters. The movement is caliber 3235 with Rolex's chronology architecture and a parachrom hairspring, delivering an approximately 70-hour power reserve that makes weekends a non-issue. The sapphire crystal with the Cyclops keeps the date quick to read, the bezel remains bidirectional, and the proprietary RLX titanium finishing combines satin and subtle polish, so it stays tool-like without losing refinement. MSRP is $15,250, but the titanium Yacht-Master 42 trades way higher, somewhere mid-20Ks on average, with clean sets pushing 26K to 29K. Moving on. Number 4. Land Dweller 40. The Land Dweller 40 blends 70s integrated bracelet attitude with modern Rolex tech, a crisp fluted white gold bezel, an intricate white honeycomb dial, and a brand new flat Jubilee that flows straight into the case. It's refined, thin, and yes, a Rolex with a see-through case back. Wild. Starting with the wear, case diameter is 40mm, thickness about 9.7mm, and lug-to-lug roughly 46.5mm, which is why it sits flat, disappears under a cuff, and reads sports luxury instead of tool. The new flat Jubilee bracelet integrates cleanly into the case, so the whole watch drapes like one piece. The white gold fluted bezel adds flash only when the light hits, while that femtosecond laser honeycomb dial keeps things sharp and distinctive. Water resistance is 100 meters. Powering it is caliber 7135, a fresh architecture with Dynapulse escapement, siloxy silicon hairspring, and Paraflex shock protection, built for higher efficiency and precision. The power reserve is approximately 66 hours, so you can park it for the weekend and pick it up running. Crystal is sapphire up front, and you get a display case back, which gives you a rare peek at the modern Rolex's interior. Rolex listed at 15K, but the Land Dweller 40 is exploding. Dealers are asking $45,000 to $55,000 right now. Up next, number 3, Sky Dweller. The Sky Dweller is a dual-time annual calendar Rolex where the fluted bezel actually works. So, you can rotate it to choose what you're setting, then use the crown. That's ring command. The off-center 24-hour disc keeps home locked while the main hand tracks where you are. In white Rolesser, the Sky Dweller looks sharp on Oyster or Jubilee, reads fast thanks to the Cyclops date, and delivers true flyer convenience without looking like a cockpit. It has presence, but the fit is dialed in. The case is 42mm, thickness is about 13.8mm, and real-world lug-to-lug runs at about 50mm, which is larger than a Sub or GMT, yet steady on the wrist thanks to the broader bracelet stance. Water resistance is 100 meters. Under the hood, the updated caliber 9002 ties movement and bezel together for quick, secure adjustments and offers about 72 hours of autonomy. The crystal is sapphire with the Cyclops over the date, and the month display hides in 12 neat apertures around the dial, so the calendar logic stays elegant and legible. MSRP is $16,600, but Sky Dwellers are going for 23K to about 26K on the market right now. At number 2, we have Cosmograph Daytona. In steel, the Daytona keeps everything you expect. 40mm case, black Cerachrom tachymeter bezel, and either the crisp white dial with black rings or the glossy black dial, trimmed and tightened. The 2023 refresh subtly resculpted the case and bezel profile and shaved the thickness, so it wears sleeker while keeping that bulletproof Oyster feel. On the wrist is where it clicks. Independent measurements put thickness around 12mm with a lug-to-lug near 48mm, which is why it slides under a cuff and sits planted instead of perching. The Oyster bracelet with Oyster lock and easy link drapes securely without losing that sports chrono posture, and the fine polished ring that frames the ceramic bezel adds just enough refinement without turning it flashy. Water resistance is 100 meters. The crystal is sapphire, no cyclops, and chromalite keeps the dial readable when the lights drop. MSRP is 16K, but steel Daytonas trade closer to 30K, and Panda dials can climb into the mid-30Ks. Finally, number 1. Date 36. The Date 36 is the watch that made the President bracelet a household name. Fluted bezel sparkle, the day at 12, the date under the cyclops, and proportions that feel tailored. Go yellow gold for classic warmth, ever rose for a rosier modern tone, or white gold for stealth luxury. The size is where the comfort lives. 36mm across, approximately 11.7 to 12.5mm thick, and approximately 43 to 44mm lug to lug, so it disappears under a cuff and sits flat instead of perching. The President bracelet drapes like fabric. The hidden crown clasp keeps the lines clean, and the fluted bezel only rarely shows off when the light finds it. Quiet most of the time, devastating when it wants to be. Water resistance is 100 meters. The caliber 3255 brings Rolex's Chronergy escapement, a blue parachrom hairspring, and Paraflex shock protection, delivering about 70 hours of reserve. Take it off Friday night and it's still humming Sunday. The sapphire crystal with the cyclops keeps the date instant, and the day window at 12 is the signature flex that never needs explanation. So what's this Rolex selling at now? The yellow gold is listed at around $40,200 MSRP, and on the secondary market, it trades almost flat, averaging just over $40,600. The Ever Rose is priced higher, officially between about $43,500 and $52,500, depending on configuration, with live sales averaging roughly $44,600, which is only a small premium over retail. The white gold tells a different story. Even though MSRP is in the same 43K to 52K range, pre-owned values are softer, closer to $37,500, or about 14% below sticker. What watch would you add to this list? Let us know in the comments, and don't forget to smash that like button and subscribe for more.